the people who it's got everybody. Today we've got people from all the places. I think I see Harmanji there. I see Disha ji. I think the love for this is like it's pulled in everybody, Virji. Today. So we've got a full quorum. We've got everybody around. You whenever you want to, we are all okay, Virji. We'll just we can go ahead and we can record it, Virji. Are you okay, Amardeep, Virji?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Do we need to do anything to record? Start recording? Does it just? I'm
It
just
has
thinking.
already been started.
Fantastic, fantastic. Amardeep Virji, please over to you as you
Oh,
want to take it, and thank you so much again, Virji.
okay. So thanks a lot. What is this group called, by the way?
It's called Seekers and Seers.
Okay. All right. Seekers and seers.
Yeah.
You will hear a seeker speak to you all today, right? So,
At least.
I'm still seeking.
Oh,
It's an ocean. It's an ocean there. But no, thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity to speak to you all. It's I think I'll just start a bit with my background, just so that you have everyone on the same same page. And then this is, as Sarabjit and I discussed, this is going to be a five-part series. Today, I'm going to be just focusing more on the background, the mindset, and happy to take any question answers because I think the baseline is important to have everyone on the same play frame, right? And thereafter, from the next session, which interestingly, Sarabjit, you can try and do it next Sunday if you can, because thereafter I'm traveling extensively. So next Sunday, I happen to be in India. I'm reaching on the 11th, Dehradun.
ठीक है जी.
So if you confirm it to me separately, then I am happy to do it on 12th. It'll be at a respectable time zone. And
Okay.
thereafter, it can only happen mid-November onwards. Okay.
ठीक है जी. ठीक है जी.
All right.
I'll I'll
So
I'll come back to you. Yeah.
yeah, all right. So and then so it's going to take five sessions. And the whole purpose of this series is to take cuts from the series after the first session, the second session onwards. Take cuts from each segment of the series and tell you some insights which sometimes we don't explicitly speak in the series because you're treading on a rope walk, right? It's always a dangerous path to walk on when you're dealing with religious sentiments of people, and already in a environment where there are a lot of fractures that have got created over a period of time. Our objective is not to create another fracture. Our objective is to simply remain loyal to Guru Nanak, understand things from his perspective. We are trying to understand. We are not presenting anything. We are just trying to understand, right? So that's what is going to be in the following sessions. So um, today we are going to be talking about making a Guru Nanak docu-series. But before that, I just want to actually give a bit of my background. I am not an academician. I am not a filmmaker. I'm not a musician. I'm not an author. I'm just a sheer, simple corporate guy who spent most of his life in the. I studied in an English medium school in India, and I was in the Doon School. I did an engineering. I did an MBA from University of Chicago much later in my life. I spent 25 years in the corporate world with American Express, having spent about in different places in India, Hong Kong, Singapore. So it's a very traditional path which every person in today's world does, right? I mean, you just do your job, run of the mill treadmill, and life just passes by. And one fine day, you realize that it's time to leave this world, and that's what my life was all about, right? So, but I want to leave some behind the scenes feelings out here, and I often say this for I'll not use this God concept, right? Because the more you understand Guru Nanak, I steer away from the God concept because everything is one, everything is all around, right? You're all intertwined. There's an energy, and I always associate with the energy, right? Why should the energy choose you to do something? Is the question that we have to ask. It doesn't happen by chance. I mean, yeah, chance is a part of life, but I am a person from a structured environment. My life has been very structured. I always ask, to the youth, I especially ask, what have you done in your life? Tell me that the energy should choose you to manifest something for the greater good through you, because you're not doing anything. You're just a medium, you're just a vessel through something that the energy is choosing to get delivered, period. The answer lies in this in my life, and I can tell you, I had no idea. I've been on this path now for 12 years. I left American Express in 2014, and now we're sitting in 2025. So it's been 12 years since I've left the corporate world. And when I left, I had no idea I was leaving it for delivering something that has taken 12 years of my life, and it probably will take a few more years of my life because we are now on the next project. So life goes on, but in the moment, I had no idea. And that's the beauty of it all, because you don't plan for it. It has to blossom, it has to flower. But the question is, why should you be chosen to flower something? What have you done? In my case, I can look back and say, now I can say what I was doing, and I can rationalize that and tell you a story. But in the moment, there was no story. In the moment, it was just happening. And what is the story that I will tell now is that at a young age of 17 years, I was delving into history. I was delving into something else because of certain things that happened in my life. And I always encourage the youth to reflect and not shy away from that. That challenges in the life that you encounter are the most beautiful moments for creativity to flourish. If you run away from challenges, creativity cannot flourish. And Guru Nanak says this, Dukh daru, sukh rog paya. Dukh daru, daru is a Persian word. In the Indian context, it has been belittled by the present generation कि दारू पीने चलते हैं. Daru is a very, very refined word. It's a Persian word which means medicine. And in India, we have this tendency to belittle everything, I would say. Cynic in me. So we made that Daru into a Daru ki shop, the Theke ka shop, right? Nanak is talking about Dukh Daru. Internal, and Dukh, he's not talking about the materialistic Dukh. Nanak is not concerned. Kabir is not concerned about your palaces, your bank balances, your materialistic goods. They are not concerned because you came from nothing as an energy. You manifested for 70 years, 40, 80 years, 90 years, or maybe 10 years, 20 years, whatever your life is. You manifested. You will go back into nothing. You came here with nothing. You will go back. You came here naked. You will go back naked. Period. They're not concerned about your wealth, your assets, your bank balances, your designations. No one's concerned about my designation of American Express, what I had. No one's concerned about what money I made. No one's concerned about what I have generated. Essentially, Nanak says, not about materialistic aspects. Because in our modern world, materialism has overtaken us so much that dukh is associated with when our balance, our stock market goes down, our balance goes down, our materialism goes down, materialistic things go down, and we become unhappy. No, they are talking about an internal state of dissatisfaction. And what is that internal state of dissatisfaction? The desire to achieve something and not being able to get there. That's the biggest dissatisfaction for any person in a creative space. Whether you are a musician, you are an artist in terms of visual arts, or you are a theater, or you're writing a book, or you're doing a docu-series, whatever it be. If you can't achieve what you want to achieve, and if something is blocking you up, that's the internal stage of dissatisfaction that Nanak is talking about. Creativity life is creative, right? Everything that you do in life is creative. So dukh daru, When you come into that stage of internal dissatisfaction, that flowers as a medicine because the answer lies in that dissatisfaction. Sukh rog bhaya, in your stage of status quo. Sukh is status quo when the change is not happening. Change is the most unsettling thing in life. When it's not happening, it becomes a disease. It creates a dis-ease right inside you. That's what Nanak is talking about. So in my case, when I look back at a very young age, I was delving into many aspects. I looked different. I was in a different region. My forefathers don't come from Punjab. They come from Kashmir, which went into Pakistan side, Muzaffarabad. And I landed up in UP, grew up there, looked different, went into an English medium school. Conflicts in mind took me into history at 17 years of age. And to keep it short, at a very rapid pace, while I was doing all my worldly requirements of getting into engineering, getting a job, and everything was going on, I was parallelly actually moving into philosophy. As I was reading my own Granth Sahib, I started realizing that to understand this, I need to widen my perspective. I can't understand the Guru Granth Sahib if I don't understand the Darshan Shastra of the Indic civilization, Indic footprint of the Shad Darshan, the six philosophical schools. I can't understand Guru Granth Sahib if I don't understand the Islamic thought. I can't understand Guru Nanak if I can't understand many other aspects of philosophies. And therefore, you start widening your horizon. And then comes a time when you start delving into musicology, because this docu-series is heavily anchored into musicology. There are 260 plus verses in the rags that they have been sung, they have been written, we've got them. We were so maniacal that we got them recorded in those rags itself. And we can talk about it in the making of it as we move on. That I still can't sing, by the way. If you think I've delved into musicology, I can recognize the rags, I can't sing. I'm not gifted by the divine energies, a throat that can sing. That's fine. I've been layered with many skills that got us to a point where, as you say in India, in the Indian context, to make a khichdi, a bowl of salad, which is a mixture of many things, right? The salad is being served. Salad tastes beautiful, right? I don't need to be an expert in the carrot or the cucumber or anything else. I don't need to be an expert in music. I need to be able to bring it all together. That's it. And there, after the musicology, came a time, I openly say this, I became an atheist for a long time. There's nothing wrong. I mean, to be an atheist is very important because it's a philosophy. How would you know what is light if you don't know what's darkness? It's all relative, right? These are all building blocks. My corporate career is going on. And because I became an atheist, I was lost. I was lost. No one came and taught me. I studied in an English school. Today, the docu-series is recorded in Urdu in my voice. I'm not trying to boast out here. It's recorded in Punjabi in my voice, in Hindi in my voice. It's recorded in English in my voice. Shahmukhi also. All these languages have been acquired. No one taught me. I studied in a pure English medium school, so-called elitist environment. No one taught me these things. But when you have the will, there is a way, right? So when all this was coming together and I became an atheist, because over the years, what I was delving in, one fine day, Kabir spoke to me. I discovered Nanak much after I discovered Kabir. I was born in a place called Gorakhpur in UP, and 30 kilometers from my home was a place, a small village by the name of Maghar. Maghar is a place where Kabir Sahib, in his ulat banis, because Kabir has this habit of talking in a opposite form. He always takes things in an inverted form. And Kabir's life is inverted. He likes to do things in inverted form. All his life, he lives in Kashi, the city of Shiva. And he's against the Brahminical practices of custody of that divine energy that they only have the custody of it. And when it comes to his last time, because Kashi is this place where the Brahmanism had actually created a story that you die here, you go to heaven. And Kabir goes in his opposite form to say, I'm not going to die here. I'm going to go to this God-forsaken place called Maghar, which our people don't talk about it, but more I've actually delved into this word Maghar, by the way. Maghar is made up of two words, Maghad. Maghad is Bihar. Ghar. Maghad is a place where Buddha took birth. Buddha's agnostic thought flourished there. Agnosticism means I have not experienced God. I can't tell you what God is. It's a good place to be in, but I'll tell you what life's experiences are. That's what Buddha told us, right? Maghad, Maghar, and a ghar, a house of the people of Maghad, is Maghar. It is believed that this was a place at the time when Kashi was at its peak, the Varanasi was at its peak. This place was a time where Buddhism had anchored in Maghar. And because Buddhism was in opposition to Brahmanism, Brahmanism had to actually lash back on Buddhism. And therefore, Maghar was given the status of you go and die there, you're going to die a donkey's death, and you're going to go into hell. So die in Varanasi because you make money out of it, right? That's how Maghar was close to me because it was 30 kilometers from my place. And I used to go there as a kid. And I used to delve into I don't know what. I don't know what. But to me, Kabir spoke much before, much before in my life. But when I became an atheist, one fine day Kabir spoke to me. And that's where my life turned. I was confused. I was going through a very rough patch in my career, very rough patch in my career. I was representing American Express on a $4.5 billion class action suit for price fixing in the US. I was on a discovery, means 10 years of my emails were opened. My blood pressure was 180, 120. My body was peeling, scaling. I had an acute autoimmune disorder that I developed. In my mind, I was thinking I will not live beyond 2012 or 2013. I'm talking about 2007. It looked like 4 or 5 years I've got left. That's it. Today, I'm absolutely cured. I don't have any autoimmune disorders. But at that point, Kabir spoke to me and said, one fine day it resonated. Khalak, khalak. Khalak mein khalik. Khalak, the creator, is in the creation, khalak. Creation is the creator. When that resonated back to me, it's not that I was not aware of it. It was lying in my subconscious. It was lying in my subconscious. Because I'd become an atheist, I'd walked away on the other side of the spectrum. And I was experiencing something else. I had stopped reading any philosophy. I had given up everything in life. And I was only into visuals. I was seeing world from that time onwards when Kabir spoke to me that khalak, khalak, khalak mein khalik. I gave up everything. No more philosophy. I don't want to know what God is. Because it has confused the hell out of me. So I picked up the camera and I started observing nature. Because if nature is the creator and creation is creating the creator, then I need to experience that creation. And that starts from there. In 2007 starts my visual journey. And I'm going through a very rough patch. And through visuals, I find solace in my pursuits. And slowly, in 2 to 3 years' time, my photography reaches a level of recognition. And I start writing for magazines like Asian Geographic and other places. It excelled very fast. Why I'm telling you is that when I say, why should the energy choose you? In this whole story, see, Amardeep, as every 4 to 5 years, is changing his skill sets. Job is going on, but anything that I'm picking up, I'm giving it only 4 to 5 years of my life, excelling it to a point of boredom. To a point of boredom, it's important to get boredom in whatever you're pursuing. Because when you get bored, the next purpose of your life in creative space is actually lying right behind you. It's a sapling that's just growing, a seed that's growing. You need to give it up and look behind and pick up the next sapling and start watering that up. And that's your next passion that will start growing. So layering of passions keep happening, and the entire salad bowl is ready. So when I started looking at nature, from there onwards, this whole Amex, the litigations and the avalanche is happening on me. And 2014, I'll keep it short, I leave American Express. I'm driven out of American Express because of certain circumstances. But because I'm leaving, now the energy has been sure, and I have no idea I'm going to do this. That I've got a certain amount of money, which is put into the investments, and I'm getting some food on the table. And I come out and I'm trying to get back into the corporate world, and not a single door is opening. I'm 48 years of age. I am 48 years of age at the peak of your career. I'm the Asia Pacific region of the revenue management of American Express, right? Peak of my career. 48 years I walked away. I didn't walk away. The energies made me walk away. I tried as much, nothing opened. And I was confused in the moment. My only purpose of life at that time was to lie in my room for about 8 months, looking at the fan up there. Why is the fan moving in a particular direction, but it appears to move in the opposite direction? That's all I was doing. Dukh daru, sukh rog bhaya. This state of internal dissatisfaction becomes the seed to grow something else. And there starts my desire to get to Pakistan. History is there, all the aspects are there. I enter Pakistan and the energy pulls me. And I'll keep it very short. Come out two books, Lost Heritage, The Sikh Legacy in Pakistan. Second book, after a few years, the quest continues, Lost Heritage, Sikh Legacy in Pakistan. Way back in 2014, our forefathers had a very different narrative that, sorry if I'm going to hurt any feelings, I'm very, very actually blatant, very point blank in what I'm saying. The narrative that you have inherited today, you need to be well aware that it's a conditioned narrative. What you believe is true is not true. Find your answers. The East Punjab that we have inherited is nothing else but boxed into religion, which is marbles, marble structure, not marble structure, which only tell you the blankness and whiteness of your mindset. And laden with gold, which tell you indirectly that be materialistic. That's what we've reduced our faith into. Blankness and materialism, white structures. Entire faith is reduced to these institutions, which are nothing else but contrary to the philosophy of Guru Nanak. And when I went into Pakistan, the energy was pulling me. What I had, I can tell you the story now that I was ready. And now the energy was gifting it to me. In those remains, I was seeing a different story. I was seeing a story in the art and these ruins, which have not been touched for 75 years. And that tells me a different mindset of my forefathers than what I have been conditioned to inherit today in the East Punjab. And when I'm looking at that, the story evolves. And in way back in 2014 to 2017, prior to that, there were 2 or 3 books done on the Gurdwaras of Pakistan. 2 segments. One is the Pakistan government has done. They will never tell you the narrative other than what they want to tell you, which is all the maintained shrines. And then some person like Iqbal Kaisar Sahib, whom I salute, but he collated from a religion perspective Gurdwaras of Pakistan and only in Punjab centric. My mind was that when I'm reading history, Nanak's philosophy went deep inside Balochistan, Sindh, Kashmir. I have got nothing to do with Punjab. Why did my forefathers follow Nanak in Kashmir? Punjab is defining me today. And why should it define me? My gurus did not only walk in Punjab, they walked in Bihar, they walked in UP, they walked in in Assam, they walked in Kashmir, they walked in Afghanistan. And why should Punjab define me? Is the question, because I was not born there. So this entire piece that I inherited as an energy giving it to me in Pakistan, I thought it's my responsibility to write it because no one had documented till then my forefathers' legacy. Legacy is not religion. Religion is a subset of legacy. And today, because of restrictions of visas, when you go into Pakistan, let's not blame ourselves, but when you go to Pakistan, you will tend to only go to Nankana Sahib, Panja Sahib, Kartarpur Sahib, 3, 4 Gurdwaras, and you are satisfied with that. But that's in the religious domain because they only give you visas for that. Way back in 2014, Taliban problem was peak, and then this whole thing was so hard to do it. But I said, no, I want to write down about the legacy, the forts, the art, the architecture, the Nanak Panthis across Sindh and Balochistan. They are all a part of my legacy. And these are the two books that come out in the name of Lost Heritage. My name kind of got created there. And once it started getting created, I started realizing one small thing. I want to bring this to an end now, get on to the topic, is that you got to, you don't need more than what you need to live your life. Desires are never ending. Desires are always spiraling up. If you got your needs satisfied, then be desirous to leave something for the society, for the bigger cause. Desire should still be there, but should not be a personal desire. That's where I started steering my direction towards desires that are for the bigger cause and not for desires to create more bank balance in my account. Because I have enough to satisfy my food on the table. So with that blessing, I started actually realizing that there's a bigger cause out here because the kind of challenges I faced in doing those two books, I've not written them about them. Some other day we can talk about it, but I've been banned many times to enter, but some energy was pulling me inside. And every time the doors would open, I mean, I've entered Balochistan, Parachinar, here, there, I mean, unheard of, 126 cities and villages. And what was happening to me there was not the subject. I was not the subject. But when it was happening, my reflections were telling me something is helping you. And there in 2019, then starts this project. If something has helped you, will that energy help you to do a bigger project like Guru Nanak's docu-series, which should be also documented? And that's where in 2019, Jan, this thing started. Okay. So with that background, let's start on. Any questions here? Otherwise, I'll move on. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
I hope
perfect.
I'm not. I hope I'm not bored you guys because I thought this is a personal touch. So I'll just kind of go down the personal path and then let's see.
I
No,
think
no,
Vijay,
this is absolutely
yeah.
great.
Amazing.
We are loving it. Um, Amardeep ji is an amazing speaker, but he is also, just in 10 minutes, you get to know how he has lived the path of Guru Nanak. So I implore all of you, here's my notebook. When he says things like religion is a subset of legacy, take a note. Also realize he has been talking to kids, so he's talking to us like we are his kids. How beautiful is that, right? just just be a kid right now, be a seeker and listen to him. He say, you saw, if you are in the Shabad Guru class, you saw how you define Shabads. See how he's defining Daru. See how he's breaking up Maghar. Ma in Sanskrit means no, and Ghar is house, not house. Not, the atheists were not in the six houses. So how these things come together? He says, excel to the point of freedom, or excel to the point of boredom.
Boredom, boredom.
Excel to the point of boredom. And actually, it's not very different from freedom either. But
Yeah.
any creative would understand what he's saying really well. So I implore you all to listen, because we're here sitting. We talk of this Shabad, Tera sadra suni je bhai, je ko bahe alai. Only if someone sits and sings, we can hear Guru Nanak here, because this is how, let's make use of this. Sorry for taking this time. Amardeep ji, go ahead.
Okay. I'm mind to continue. I just need to get a glass of water. Okay.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
continue.
Anyone else? Any reactions on what you've heard? Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah,
Vijay, I
just
couldn't fully
top and up
understand
the
the
full guy.
marbleization.
Just top and
I
Ishita ji,
Sorry, yes, Ashit
I
again.
just
Ishita ji, raise your hand. Yeah, Ishita ji.
Anji. Manona, I'm a little confused. I didn't get it. He said that Hinduism was against Buddhism, so that's why Maghar was something, it was
no.
more Buddhist. So there's something like that, he said, and I don't understand fully.
That's fine. What we are going to do is spend a day on Maghar. There are two shabads about Maghar. Kabir Saab talks about it, and so we'll cover that, and
Okay,
so
that's fine.
we'll go into that.
I
Okay.
did not say
Okay.
Lamba Saab?
I did not say Hinduism is against
Is
Buddhism.
no, yes.
I did not use ism. I did not use
I,
ism.
I don't know what you said. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what I said.
Mm-hmm.
Brahmanism,
Opposite.
Brahmanism,
Yeah, yeah.
ism is a word given to you by British. And the irony is, when they came into India, you see, there are three Abrahamic faiths: Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Okay, are trying to define the Judaism before Islam and Christianity are trying to define the Christianity comes before define the boundaries of the geographies. Right, they're going around everywhere in the world and capturing all the other civilizations. And as they're going there, they're giving them isms. Interestingly, think about it. Christians, the Christianity has never become Christianism. Islam is, they've never given it Islamism. They are the two faiths that are fighting. They've never given isms to anyone, to themselves, but they've given it to Judaism and they've given to all the Indian traditions, whether it be Buddha, Bodh, Buddhism, Sikhism, Jainism. Hindu is a culture. Hindu is not a religion, by the way. We'll talk about it slowly. Hindu is not a religion. Anyone living on east of the Sindhu River, sir is her, is a culture of Hindu. Today we are unnecessarily fighting these battles. Guru Nanak says, Khorasan khasmana kiya Hindustan daraya. Sindhustan daraya. The land, Babur has ruled Khorasan and come in the lands on the east of Sindhu River, and Sir becomes a her. Like in Lucknow, you say Sapta and becomes a Hafta. So the Muslims will say Hafta and they will say Sapta, right? The same thing. So this is the land on this side, which is Hindu society, a culture, which is a culture of multiplicity. And Nanak is going to delve into that multiplicity. It is not isms. The problem is you cannot understand today Nanak if you are going to think it from the lens of ism. Get this word ism out of your mind. Brahmins, the Brahminical thought was against the Bodhi thought, which was an agnostic thought, which had no idea. They proclaimed that we have not experienced God. We will tell you the way of life, the eightfold path. And that was fracturing the Brahmanism or the Brahmins revenue stream. So they want people to stay in Kashi and die there, right? So anyhow, let's move on, okay? Shall I move?
Amardeep ji, there's a couple of questions. Maybe if you can take Sara and Gulshan ji, and then move. So, sorry, we're very inquisitive and curious people.
No,
No, I don't have a particular question. I just wanted to say, because you're saying, maybe I'm boring you. I say, I'm Portuguese. I don't have any genetic connection with India, but God has brought Indian culture into my life. And it's only been since I joined this group, I think in last February, that I've actually started learning deeply about Sikhi. So for me, this is all new. I've got a outside perspective on the teachings of Guru Nanak. I also been studying Hinduism or Hindu, like you said, and it's been a very deep exploration of the meaning of God and spirituality. So I found it fascinating to hear your story and how the divine has guided you to serve. I think it's a great inspiration. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, thanks a lot, Sarah. So I noticed you fumbled. Thank you. You said Hinduism and you said Hindu. Right now, that grammatically that doesn't make sense. The sentence didn't flow properly, right? So let's sit down and let's just help you. Next time you say break it down. If Hindu is a culture, you are studying into Vaishnavites, Shaivites, Charvaks who are materialists. There are so many thoughts. There are different philosophies. There are Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, Vedanta. What part of this diverse lands philosophies are you trying to study? Because each philosophy is different. The Kashmir Shaivism is different than the Shaivite tradition of elsewhere, right? So what part are you studying? Because everyone is different in polarity, and that's the beauty.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the beauty of this
I
man.
personally have been studying the path of Bhakti and Krishna devotion, so that's my own preference. I haven't delved so much into the other philosophical ideas.
But my point was only to question the word Hinduism that we normally use.
But we could use Sanatan Dharma. That's how they call themselves.
It's a bit early right now, but if we do talk about Sanatan at the end of the presentation after Guru Nanak, we will challenge the Sanatan Dharma as it is being promoted today. Because Kabir's Sanatan is very different to the Sanatan that the Hindutva is trying to promote today. It's very different. But that's not a topic I want to talk about today.
Okay, but
All right?
thank you.
All right. Okay, I'm waiting for permission to move forward.
Yeah, please move ahead.
Okay.
Because
All right.
Please.
we're
Okay,
never
let's
going to
start.
stop.
Yeah, it's never going to stop. Okay, so for just from my understanding, how many of you have seen the series entirely? Just tell me that. Anyone has seen it entirely? 24 episodes? No one? Okay. Anyone has
No,
seen one episode?
two of us have Gurpreet ji and Harman.
Okay.
Partially I had done.
Partially,
Up
okay.
to 10th episode.
All right, okay. All right. So then let me show you this one trailer and then we'll move forward, okay? One second.
Guru Nanak, the 15th century spiritual leader, is a guiding force for many. He spent over 2 decades traveling to distant lands to engage in philosophical and social dialogues with people of diverse cultures and belief systems. Through the medium of words and music, he gracefully imparted experiential insights, fearlessly challenged the binary constructs of society, and relentlessly opposed gender, religious, racial, and class inequalities. My name is Amardeep Singh. I retrace the life events of Guru Nanak as narrated in the earliest historical texts. नानक देव जी ने हमको परम पिता परमात्मा का नाम बताया. He had his own message of oneness of humanity, and that cut across all religions. 530 years ago, coming, uncharted lands, but still making such a big impact, an impact which not only had permanence, which was carried on.
It's just a question now. First and foremost, tell me, can anyone explain what do you mean by allegory? Because it's not an easily used word. I mean, does anyone can explain what allegory means? Why did we choose? Then I'll come down to why did we choose the word allegory?
Define the intricacies of any get into the details of any
Poetry story.
epic or story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So allegory
Story opening.
is a unfolding of metaphors, multiple metaphors embedded inside a bigger story. a poetic expression or a storyline. But the purpose is to unravel deeper metaphors. When you take A, B, C, D, E, F, a bigger canvas of metaphors and make a poetic representation of that whole thing, that's what an allegory is. And it need not always be a poetic expression. It can also just be a narrative, but it has to have deeper hidden meanings inside it. The key is out here. And it's not one meaning, because that becomes a metaphor. When you have multiple metaphors embedded inside it, it becomes an allegory. Okay, so that's what this word means out here, allegory. We are trying to understand Nanak by unraveling his multiple metaphors. That's what the objective is. In Punjabi, we call this as Sanath. Sanath is not an easy word, but in the villages, some elders still use it. Oh, Santa mar raha hai. It's like pointing to something else. So you are walking this way, but you're pointing to something else, right? So those are metaphors. In Hindi, we call it as rupak. Rupak is a metaphor, deeper embedded metaphor, right? So that's what this means. Okay, so we in the Sikh tradition normally use this word udasi. Can I ask, what do you mean by udasi?
I think in this case it is travels of Guru Nanak was that travel symbolized udasi. Udasi means travel here. Was that the question, Virji?
Yeah, so you've given your impression of what udasi means. Anyone else wants to attempt? He's saying it's travels.
But there's another meaning of udasi for sure, which is you're not you are udas. You typically take that literal meaning. Where you take udas as a word and then udasi associated with that. But
You're kind of getting there. And let me start with a
Leaving everything and moving ahead to the path, certain path.
okay.
This is all
So
your
let's build on that. Let's build on that. So in 2019, I was invited in UK to speak at one of the universities, and there was an exhibition that they'd hosted for the 550th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak, right? And I was so disappointed at the heading of the various canvas of his travels that they put up, and there was a map out there, and it read the melancholy travels of Guru Nanak. That's a literal translation. Melancholy is really a sad state, man. It's really a sad state. You're trying to say a sad affair travels of Guru Nanak. You just missed the point, right? Melancholy, and it's in a public forum. It's in a UK kind of a forum, right? This is the problem we are facing with the translations that we are showing in the Gurdwaras, because they're literal translations. And that's the problem, because these are not literally to be interpreted. Okay, udasi. You kind of said it, but let me try and build on it. I said that, you pursue your passion to boredom. And I said, dukh daru sukh rog bhaya. Now it all is coming down, right? Dukh daru, an intense state of dispassion for duality. I mean, your duality is what is internally you're wanting to achieve, and externally something else that you have to manage. There's a gap in it, right? And this causes a beautiful word in Punjabi, which is birha, a state of dissatisfaction. In Hindi, you call it as virha. Ver becomes a ba in Punjabi. So we call it as birha. I don't think English language has a replacement for the word birha. Birha is a state of being torn apart, right? Shiv Kumar Batalvi has written that beautiful poem on birha, right? So it describes the state of birha. It's an internal dissatisfaction. Guru Nanak's birha was probably, and at a young age, when in Modi Khana he's doing certain activities, which we'll go through in the next session. But he's going through certain things at Sultanpur. He's crossing the river and going inside the cremation ground, inside the burial grounds, and sitting down there. Let's sit down and not get into the sugar-coated Guru Nanak, but let's try and understand his mind. Why is he doing that? I don't know why is he doing that, but I can tell you my own state. When I was in a total state of dispassion is birha. I mean, not from passion, this negative of passion, but it's like the state of birha, which I can't use as a word in English, right? But I was torn apart. The most profound experiences I got when I sat many a times at the cremation ground in Varanasi. Nanak going into these places, he's in a state of birha. He's seeking an answer. Nanak is also a human. You don't need to make him a god, because if you want to make him a god, then we all are God, because creation is itself God, right? We just said khalak, 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 mein khalik. We are all that God element. That energy is everywhere, right? So Nanak, if you want to make him a god that's unreachable, then go ahead and make him. Then there's no point of doing this docu-series. But if you're trying to understand his mind as a human, then you have to understand he's going through a birha. When Buddha leaves his wife Yashoda and walks away from the palace, has anyone given you a story of Yashoda? What happens to her? Nanak walks away from his wife and his children. No one tells a story of that, right? These are human stories. What would be happening to his wife, to his children? And why would he do that? To give up. It has to be an intense state of dissatisfaction for something that he's trying to yearn for, a desire to search within. It's not to achieve anything in life, you have to give up a lot. And probably he had to give, Buddha had to give up something. And he came back at the end. Nanak also came back at the end. But he's trying to search for something. You have to give up something. And that's what the Udasi state is, because your mind is in a state of dispassion. That's why it's called Udasi. The travels are not yatra. Travels are not, these are not just travels. We are seeing tapestry of Guru Nanak's travels, but because in English, we can't say anything else, right? But in our Indic languages, there's a deeper sense to this travel. It's not that he's buying an airline ticket or he's sitting in a horse and he's going to the Arab world or he's going there for leisure. No, he's not doing that. He's on a search for something deeper. And please do not confuse the word Udasi with Udasin. Udasin is a group of ascetics who also, theoretically, when they would have left the world and gone into a pursuit, would have been in a state of Udasi, right? A dispassion. And because they were in a state of dispassion, the earliest ones, they are therefore called as Udasin because they've gone into that, right? But the word Udasin are people. But in today's world, you'll find the Udasin tradition, not everyone is an Udasi truly. They're not in a state of birha, dispassion. Because today, religion is money, religion is business, right? So you'll very rarely find these. I'm not saying every Udasin saint is like that, but there's so many Udasin saints in our journey, we'll find so many of them are in a state of dispassion. But by and large, it's business. So there you can't call all of them. But yes, I hope you understood Udasi, okay? So what was the need to actually map Guru Nanak's Udasi? Why did we have to do that? Well, if the Netflix can have a series on Alexander the Great, whose only greatness is to kill people and conquer territories, but then it's a great story, right? Marco Polo can get a space, both Alexander and Marco Polo can get space in Netflix. Marco Polo can get space in Netflix because he traveled for his personal gains for business, right? All these stories can get space because they are at a shallow level, and the human mind wants shallow stories. You want, what is that series? Money Heist. You want Money Heist. You don't want Guru Nanak. And sorry if I'm going to be blunt out here. This group is sitting here. The series has been there since September 2021. You've not seen it fully. And I'm going to not ask you how many of you have seen Money Heist. That's what you want. So why shouldn't it be done? And as I said earlier, if some energy was pulling me, then we should try. Because Nanak's narrative, 70% of the land mass today is in hard to access geographies. You have to start there first, geography. Because he's not trying to actually create sets out here to create it. You have to go to these places where he actually had dialogues and you want to create it from there. So then if something was helping me in Pakistan, that voice was telling me, try this. It might help you. It might open all the doors. And I can tell you, you have a narrative which is 100% mapped as per the texts that have been written up to 150 years after Guru Nanak left this world. Up to. Okay. So let's get down into his timeline. But before the timeline, I want to talk about what are the sources. Look, I'll be very honest out here and upfront out here. I'm not an academician, I've said that to you before, but I have been delving into this subject for long enough in my pursuits, right? The Nanak of today that the community wants is laden with myths, mythologies, and one-upmanship. He has to travel more than the others. He has to be better than the others. He has to be a notch above the others. No, Nanak is not asking for any of these. He doesn't need to be better than the others. He is different. He doesn't need to travel more than anyone else because you want him to make him travel. By the way, there is a YouTube video, Nanak in America. He's reached your shores, right? Give him a little bit of time, he'll get the visa to enter Canada too. Because we are in a one-upmanship, we have to send him everywhere. That's the problem. Okay, here's a man who's given you over 900 of his spiritual verses about life lessons in musicology. And he writes nothing about his life. He doesn't write any history. In fact, when he writes the Babur Bani, he's closest getting into history to say he's experiencing an attack by Babur into the Indian subcontinent. But he doesn't even name Babur. He says, Khorasan kasmana kiya, Hindustan daraya. And he goes on to give his entire verse, but he doesn't say, I'm talking about Babur. He's not giving you any history. So here's a man who's giving you wisdom and writes nothing about his life. And here are his adherents, that's us, who are in a one-upmanship, wanting to send him every place that they can send him. Because if you send a narrative there, soon you will open a place of worship, Gurdwara there. Soon that place will get more followership. Soon that place will get more revenue. Soon the bank balances of people who put that place will make more money out of it. And the next generation will be confused on narratives which are thrust on rocks, on poles, on wells. Everywhere he's going, he's drilling a well. I sometimes wonder if he's carrying what kind of a machine with him, that every place he goes, he has the ability to drill wells. Is that all that Guru Nanak is left to? That his job is to drill wells, put his impressions of his hands and his back on the stones, dent stones. His power was more to dent your hardened heart, the ego of your heart. His power was to drill a hole in your heart to make you absorb emotions. But we've reduced him to physical manifestations. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Or am I being too hard out here? Sorry if I'm being too hard and it's okay. So he's born 1469. He's written nothing about his life. How will we make his narrative? You should ask me that question. No one's asked me that question. We'll come to that. We'll answer that. He's born 1469. Leaves this world in 1539. If there's anything that I'm always thinking about with our next projects is, he lived 70 years. I am 59 years. If he's my benchmark, I have 11 years left. Each of my projects takes 5 years to complete. I can deliver probably one more project in this lifetime. That's it. We're already working on something. And I will probably take on one more project. And that's all I can deliver. Because if he's going to be my benchmark, life will pass away very, very, very fast. So I always reflect and say, I've got probably 11 years left. And if each project takes 5 years, that's very little time left. So he travels in the first Udasi. I'm calling here as Odyssey because it sounds like Udasi, but I'm using that word. But there's no word as Udasi to replace out here. Okay, the first Odyssey takes him to east and south, 12 years. Second, 4 years, which takes him to northern parts, Himalayas. Third one takes him to the Islamic world, which takes him across 4 years to complete this. And the last one is in around the land of 5 rivers, Punjab and Rajasthan. And then he comes back and settles in 1526. In which place does he settle down? Can anyone tell me?
Kartarpur.
Okay, I know I've written it Kartarpur there, but I'm going to tell you something. It's not an easy question, right?
Okay, it was
All
there.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
So he settles down in a place called, which we call today as Kartarpur, on the banks of the river. But he settles down in a place called Jammanwali.
Okay.
Why I'm telling you is narratives get conditioned. Today, no one remembers the name Jammanwali because you've been drilled narratives with your conditioning, and therefore you think this is it, but there's always a different perspective. In the name of the place that he settles down itself is a different perspective. The place is called Jammanwali, not Kartarpur. You've been drilled to actually believe it's Kartarpur, but it is called Kartarpur today because that's conditioned. And he leaves his body form in 1539. Okay. All right. Now let's come down to this is his travel. Now you should ask me a question. You told me he's written nothing about his life, and you're telling us this landscape that you are going to go and map, and you map. Where did you get your source from? A rational mind should ask that, right? Because YouTube is filled with videos of every second day someone's going here, there, left, right, and coming up with something, right? Let me start with this, that the narrative out here is not about his travels, it's to understand him. There are 260 of his verses inside it. We are trying to unlayer Nanak to understand the messages from these travels. If I was to simply sit here and tell you the messages of his words, you'll go off to sleep after some time. So we have to make it interesting. And the only way to make it interesting is not to recreate the sets, but to go to those places and unravel what was it that he was having as a dialogue out here. The focus is not his travel. The focus is the word that he's going to have out there. That's the message that we have to take away. The travel is a mere excuse to get to your mind. So if you have to discard the series, don't see it. Don't see it. As long as you take 260 verses out of it. That's what matters. But then the question that you should be asking is, you are saying that you're going to go to these places. Where did you get your source from? You just said Nanak wrote nothing about his life. Good. He wrote nothing about his verses. The first scribe of his life events, a part of it is Bhai Gurdas. 70 years after his life. The Sikh Gurus are still there. Sikh Gurus are there for 250 years. And he's writing a few vars, and in which he's describing a footprint. He says he went to Mecca, he went to Batala, he went to Meru Parbat. He names a few places. But it's not big enough for an entire narrative. Interestingly, he only talks about Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana traveling. There's not even a Bala traveling with him. Thereafter, some more texts start coming in. And these are coming from about 60 to 70 years after his life, when Bhai Gurdas is written, up till 150 years after his life. The earliest texts, in that only Guru Nanak and Bhai Mardana are traveling. There's no Bala traveling. And there is a particular landmass which they are covering. And if you plot that map, these earliest texts, you will start getting a narrative which will have variances, but there's a lot of commonality also. So we are going to focus on the commonalities and try and juice it out. Because after 150 years, a third person starts traveling with him. Because Mardana is a Muslim who's traveling with him. So now a Hindu has to be put next to him. So now narrative after 150 years, Bala comes in. Now it's been inserted I have no idea whether the texts earlier ones have suppressed it. I have no idea. But I'm only looking at the facts written in the text. And after 150 years, his travel becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and it gets laden with myths, mythologies, and he'll close his eyes and he'll reach there. So these are the people who are writing it. And the people who are writing it out of their heart. When people write about their revered saint, these texts have to be seen with a critical eye, to say that they are going to be biased. Why shouldn't they be biased? Because people of faith are writing about their revered leader. And therefore, they are called not as biographies or not as autobiographies, because he's not written himself. Neither has Bhai Mardana written about him. Neither are they biographies, neither are they historical accounts, neither are they autobiographies. They are hagiographies. Hagiography is an English word when someone writes about their revered saint. And they are going to be biased. So let's look at these hagiographies, which in our tradition we call them as Janam Sakhis. So the Janam Sakhis that are written up till 150 years is what we are going to draw from, primarily. We are also living in the current time where Nanak's narrative is expanding further and further, because the hagiographies have moved into WhatsApp universities and Facebook universities. Because people of faith are going to go and stand somewhere and send Guru Nanak there, and everyone's going to forward those things, and Guru Nanak is going to reach there soon. And he has reached in many places. And he keeps traveling every second day, third day. Because you're dealing with hagiographies. You can't question anyone, because if you're going to question, you're going to get into a dispute, right? So you just leave it. I don't question anyone. I know people are not going to see this, so be it. We've done our part. You want to see it, you see it. Don't want to see it, don't see it. The cup of coffee is lying on the table. You have to pick up the cup and drink it. I'm not going to come and thrust it into your mouth, right? And neither am I going to actually have a dialogue around what the coffee's taste is. Because the fact is, there's a rationality inside this. Having said that, now I will say, I have no idea where Guru Nanak has traveled. Let's start with that. I'm happy to say I have no idea, having created this 24 episode docu-series, because I'm only telling you the sources I've dipped into. I have no other source. The only thing I have is the 260 verses approximately that we have used of his are from his own word. And we are focusing on that. And that's where we want to learn from. And that's where we want to unravel Guru Nanak. But we've told you the methodology. Any question on methodology before we move on? It's important to understand this thing, because otherwise you tomorrow will see something else and you'll come back to me, hey Amardeep, you've not covered this place, you've not covered that place. I've told you the methodology. Simple. Don't ask me. Right? Okay. So Udasi, his state of mind. Why did Guru Nanak travel? I mean, his state of mind, we know it's in a state of birha. He's in a state of conflict, and that's why he's traveling probably. That's why he's going into those cremation grounds, and that's why he's sitting in those burial grounds, and that's why he's going and taking a dip in the water. And although the narrative says he vanished and he reached the house of God, but you know what? Logically, he would have just vanished. Just leave it there. Maybe he crossed, because he used to cross the river and go on the other side, right? Maybe he went into the jungles there and just sat down in contemplation. Buddha also vanished away from this place. He went into the jungle, right? I mean, he came back after that, after realization. So why do we need to send him some into third world, right? Leave it there. We don't know the answer. But why did he start traveling? So let's listen to this video and then I'll give some thoughts on it.
गोरे गोरे एको जय बंद करते की रात हो तो धरना बढ़ाई हो।
Open-mindedness to discuss and assimilate diverse philosophical views has historically been a unique strength of the Indic culture. Guru Nanak's acknowledgement of the six Indic philosophical systems, Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisesika, Mimamsa, and Vedant, is a reflection that he respected freedom of thought. However, above all, he endorsed the doctrine of oneness as paramount.
Chhe ghar, chhe gur, chhe updesh. Chhe is six. There are six houses. Houses is not buildings out here or homes, brick and mortar. Six philosophies. Chhe gur. There are six gurus of that, the teachers. Six philosophies, six teachers. Chhe updesh. There are six sermons out of that. Gur gur eko ves. Gur is wisdom. The wisdom of wisdom, the prime business source of wisdom is only one. Ves anek. They have different forms of trying to tell the reality. The beauty of telling reality, if you really get down into it, there will be one school that also says neti neti and comes in Gurbani also. Neti neti. This is not, this is not, this is not. When you start getting into philosophy, why I told you my story, I became an atheist. Because this is not, this is not, this is not. You start negating it. There's nothing left. But before you negate, you have to get into the structure, right? So he's getting into six philosophies. But he says, Gurgur eko ves anek. There is only one source of wisdom. Its forms are many. But then he gives his verdict. Baba je ghar karte kirat ho. In whichever home you are singing the praises of the divine creative element, so ghar rakh vadai toi. That's the most sublime and the pinnacle of all the philosophies. So he's not getting into any disputes out here. No disputes. That's where he's starting his journey from. The reason I'm putting this as right up front is because as a kid, when I had been going into the places where my religious preachers are coming and telling us, they are so called on a missionary work. They're getting paid. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, but it didn't make sense to me because they're always into this forever a tug of war of Guru Nanak won against this guy. Guru Nanak won against this guy. He won against the Siddhas. He won against the Naths. No, he doesn't need to win. Dialogues don't happen to win. Dialogues happen to put the right thought of different. Dialogues can be very, very strong and very, very opposing, but they are there to bring churn of wisdom. And Nanak is not there to actually ridicule anyone. This Shabad of his says it. If you have any doubt. So that's the reason why he started, to have dialogues. That's his state, mental birha, the mental state of his mind, to have dialogues. He's yearning for that dialogue, and that's why he travels. So now you understand Udasi, why he's traveling, right? Okay. Now, this will become clearer in the next few presentations, but I think the most fundamental thing that we have understood out of this series, because I knew this was not making sense to me when I was actually in my own turmoils, right? And I think many years of my life have been wasted by this simple statement that even our most evolved authors have written down, at least in English. It's on the Wikipedia also. Guru Nanak is the founder of a monotheistic faith. Let's get this right. Guru Nanak is not a founder of any faith. Faith follows him. Faith follows him because of his adherents. Right? Guru Nanak is on a quest. Guru Nanak is the founder of monotheistic faith. So let's understand what is monotheism. Can anyone explain to me? It's not a very complicated word. Anyone take a stab? Just trying to get you guys. Maybe you all have gone to sleep, right? So just tell me. What is monotheism?
Directing towards the oneness.
No.
What?
One God.
Yep. It's not oneness, by the
One
way.
God, one.
Got it. I think I got the answer. Let me take on now. Sorry, it's not oneness. Monotheism is not oneness. Monotheism is anchored into duality. Monotheism is when God is one, but God is not creation. God is distinct from you. Then you need a son of God to take you there. God is sitting up there somewhere, up in the heaven, and then you have to create a hell. Then you have to give a gender to the God, he or a she. Mostly it's going to be he, right? All the problems start with monotheistic definition. And you have taken a beautiful philosophy of Guru Nanak, which is not anchored in monotheism, and you made it a monotheistic Abrahamic faith. I think most of the problems that the Sikh community is facing today is, I think, the doctrine itself is fractured at the base level. Sorry, by the way, I cannot be so blatant when I'm speaking in a broader community. I'm talking to a close group out here, so I'm just talking my heart out, right? Guru Nanak, if you have to use a word, I'd move towards monism. Monism means everything is one. Guru Nanak is an advocate of everything is one. Because when Ravi Das is saying tohi, mohi, mohi, tohi, antar kaisa, what is the difference between you and me? That person and me, that tree and me, or that divine in me, there's no difference, right? Khalik, khalak, khalak, mein khalik, creator is the creation, creation is the creator. Everything is one ecosystem. Nanak's philosophy of Ek Onkar is not God is one. Every English translation out here is getting it wrong. It's saying God is one. And all that we have understood is everything is one. Omkar, Om basically is a representation of the creative energy, the sustaining energy, and the destroying energy. Now, if you can't understand the energy in a non-form, in the Bhakti tradition, you'll say Nirgun form. Nirgun form is formless form, the energy. Then you have to take a Sargun form. You have to give it some form. So you have to say, creative aspect is Brahma, sustaining aspect is Vishnu, destructive aspect is Shiva. And so you can start creating all things. But the fact is the energy is creating, sustaining, destroying. Let's take this presentation. About an hour back, we started. We created this. We started the presentation. We are continuing with this presentation. Give me another half an hour. This energy will finish. This will get destroyed. You and all will not be here out anymore, right? Everything is getting created, sustained, and destroyed. And when that takes an akar, the akar can be in the body form, beyond our senses, within our senses. Because our eyes can see something, but there's spectrum beyond that. Your ears can hear something, but a dog can hear more than you. But the akar is there. Omkar, when that trinity of the creative, sustenance, and destruction takes a form that takes an akar, is Omkar. Right? By putting one before that, Nanak is not saying God is one. Nanak is saying that this entire energy, this ecosystem of creation, sustenance, destruction in multiple universes, because your universe is different than my universe, and hers is different than mine, trees is different than mine, multi-universes is intertwined into one aspect, that's the root, which is Chhe Ghar, Chhe Gur, Chhe Updesh, Gur Gur Eko Ves Anek, Baba Je Ghar Karte Kirat Koe, So Ghar Raat Lai Toye. There are multiple philosophies, multiple thoughts, but the root is one. And that substratum of every energy is that one energy, which is nothingness, because we came from nothing, will go into nothing. Does that kind of sound too heavy for Guru Nanak's docu-series? Or I hope we've understood the baseline. Because if you understood this, you'll understand the Guru Nanak's thought process after this. Yes or no?
Yeah,
Love it.
I would say as a beginner, that's what I learned about what Ekunkar means is that oneness, not one God, but the oneness of everything. So I don't know.
So Sarah, you are blessed to have come into this fold at a certain stage of life where there's awareness happening. But a guy like me who's 59 years old has wasted 45 years of his life in this monotheistic concept.
Mm. And I can tell you. Also, she tells us a lot of the same things you're saying, so you can feel free
Yeah. So
here.
so I have wasted my time a lot. I've kind of discovered this, but using a word oneness, which is getting used a lot today, is fine. We can say word oneness, but I'm trying to get to the philosophical base of that. I'm trying to peel it, peel the oneness. It's easy to say oneness. We all are saying oneness, oneness, but peel the philosophy of that. It's out here. If you've understood this, then oneness starts making sense. Okay? All right. So, if that's what Guru Nanak is talking about as oneness, it's important to understand who is Guru Nanak's Guru. Guru is wisdom, right? Guru is wisdom. I'm saying my Guru is, sorry, I'm using this word, in a shallow sense, Guru Nanak. But I don't find Guru Nanak here. So where do I go to him? Do I look for another physical Guru? Do I need to look for another physical Guru? So then the question is, who was Guru Nanak's Guru? And the answer lies here. I'm playing this and I'm just getting a glass of water for myself.
जिसका तुझे
Guru Nanak is an expression of divine wisdom. Who did Guru Nanak seek as his teacher, and whose disciple was he? Guru Nanak says, wisdom is the teacher, and conscious introspection is the disciple.
This is known as, in corporate world, self-empowered leadership. He's talking about self-empowered leadership 550 years back. Why do you need a guru, a physical? Wisdom is your guru. Wisdom applies to situations which are going to keep changing. World is not static. Everything is changing all around us. So your responses have to be situational. The moment you make it static, you are getting into a conditioned wisdom. You have to use these various pipes coming in of wisdom to make you adaptive to those situations. So there is wisdom is going to come by reading, by reflecting, by contemplating and all that. So I'm not saying throw the wisdom away. You have to delve into it. But at the end of the day, wisdom is your guru. And my consciousness, which is within me, is the disciple, the chela, with disciple, right? I don't need to be a physical body, a disciple of any guru. My consciousness within me has to learn from the wisdom around me to be the disciple. That's what Guru Chela is of Guru Nanak. Yeah? Okay, so I've already talked about this thing, Guru Nanak's narratives, which is, I've already talked about this. Okay, now this is important here also is that to understand the word allegory a bit more. Okay, by the way, the sources are written here. I mean, if you want, all various sources are written here. What are the various, after 150 years, balas, so up to 100, 150 years, what are the texts? All right. Let me try and explain what is unraveling metaphors, allegory. You are dealing with a very complicated narrative which has over the years got conditioned with myths, mythologies, dents on the rocks, wells everywhere, reduced him just to these physical manifestations. But he needs to be understood from the depth of his words. And here's an example which will explain that. So there's a narrative of Guru Nanak that he goes to Asa Desh. Does anyone know where's Asa Desh? I mean, Shivpreet said that, breaking of the words, try and use your brain to understand how would you make something out of that Asa word. It's not a rag. Asa Desh, where is it? The guys from India should tell us.
Assam?
Yeah. Who said that?
I said that. Gulshan.
Okay, great Gulshan.
Yeah.
Assam. Asa Desh is the shortened name, is the name of those times, Asa. The region of Asa, even today, Assam, is known for two kinds of worship. One is tantric worship. If anyone knows about tantrism, it's the left-hand path. I don't want to get too deep into left-hand paths, but it can be, let's put it as the traditional paths are the right-hand path, what we accept as traditionally in a mindset, in the conditioned mindset. But there is another way also, and that tantric way is the other way, where the aghoris and the others who get into the alternative path of delving into the path of finding. And you, from the right-hand path, will say, oh, that's nonsense, that this, don't pass judgments in philosophy, by the way. Because every path is unique and let them experience. Now, you might say, oh, the Aghoris do this wrong, that and all. That's their path. Leave it there, right? But in Assam, there's one is a tantric path of exploration of philosophies and spirituality. The other is the feminine worship. Even today, along Assam, you will find the female worship is a standard practice. If you go to Guwahati to the temple, which is it's a Shakti Peeth. Sorry, it's there in the docu-series where I'm probably getting rid of my...
Kamakya?
Kamakya is there in the docu-series. Now, they worship the menstrual cycle, right? Because if you look at the depth aspect of it, before negating it and saying, oh, it's a bad thing, it's this and that, that's your conditioned mind. Look at the intent. The intent is the menstrual cycle is a metaphorically the reason why creation happens, at least in the human aspect. So it's a creative aspect. And so therefore we worship that. Now they take it into a human form, but that's the intent. Okay. So here's a narrative from the Janam Sakhi tradition, which there are two schools of thoughts in the academics. One throws it out, and the one accepts it with myths and mythologies. And that is a lot of these, right? So the ones that throw it out is here. In Asa Desh, the women, the tantric worshippers, when Nanak and Mardana reach there, they take Mardana away and capsize. They basically take him away. Right? So Mardana goes out to get food. By the way, in the Janam Sakhi traditions, there's another thing to look at metaphorically, and we'll cover this in the answer of it will come up in the 14th episode in Sri Lanka. We'll pose a question that why is it that Nanak and Mardana who are traveling, Mardana always gets a beating, always feels hungry, always gets into a problem, and Guru Nanak comes and says, it's a human and the divine expression in this partnership. The human aspect of it is feeling the hunger, getting into problems, and the divine aspect of Nanak is coming and helping. Take it as that. That's the storytelling, right? So here also Mardana feels hungry and he goes out and the women capture him. So it's a place of where women worship and all is happening. Women capture him. Nanak comes in search, and the story goes that they have made him into a ram. A ram is a male sheep. Now, look at this artwork. It's a wall fresco artwork, right? Now, an artist, when he's going to draw that, can only draw it in one frame. It's not a moving picture, right? So in that one frame, trying to depict a lot of things. Look at down there. There's a rawab lying there. There's a ram tied up there. That's Mardana who's been converted into a ram. There's a rabab like that. That means that ram is Mardana who's changed his form. Nanak is being, now the women are tying a band on his arm. That's a sign of friendship. So definitely Nanak and the tantric women have had some dialogues and they've come to a friendship. But the ram is tied up there and the rabab is lying there. Now, what this, you will say, the academicians, some of them will say, how can a human be converted into a ram? This is all bullshit. These hagiographies are all nonsense. Throw them away. The other one will say, who believe in myths and mythology, will say, no, there's a deeper meaning, there's that and all, but I'm never finding the meanings, right, being explained. Then you got to look at the words we are singing out there, Nanak is saying, and the meaning coming out of there. And what you'll realize is the conversion of Nanak, of Mardana into a ram is not the physical conversion. It represents his mind has been capsized. When you capsize the mind, what in Punjabi we call as ped chal. Ped chal is what? Like how do the sheep walk? The one who's walking, everyone will keep falling, keep falling. Is the conditioned mindset which our societies are facing today. Because we are following the leader who's itself is a sheep, right? And all of us are sheep. That's what it means. So this is how you have to unravel the allegories. Now, the community has, let's say, made in Patthar Sahib, in Ladakh, and we'll give you the history of that. There's no such Gurdwara as Patthar Sahib that existed. But we are not here to break your faith. We are here to tell you the story and slightly skim away, leaving the essence for you to understand. So there is in Patthar Sahib in Ladakh, there's a Gurdwara been made, which was made only in 1970s by a border security force when they were making a road. A Sikh soldier got some dream, and the Indian army has this tradition of making Sarv Dharm Sthal, which is like the Muslim, Hindu, Sikh together. They place it every border roads organization was actually stationed in that place, and they made a place of worship which was all religions together. And this Sikh soldier gets a dream, and from there starts the seeding of Guru Nanak's visit to the Patthar Sahib, and the whole story of a demon hurling a rock and all evolves from there. It's not mentioned anywhere, but it evolves from 1970s onward. Today, you are going lock, stock, and barrel into that place in hope to find Nanak there. And what do you find there? There's a rock there with his back dented on it. And then you got to reflect, is this what Nanak has been reduced to, just denting out rocks? So the verse that will play into that episode, which is I think episode number 19, you have to listen to the words of that verse, where we are leading you to reflect. The depth of his philosophy lies in his word. And that's what it is. It could dent your hardened rocks of your heart, the ego. And we've left him to dent physical rocks. So that's the unraveling of allegories through the words, right? That's what this whole series, why it's called allegory. Okay, musicology, I've said, is the baseline of this entire series. So there are 3 voices actually, but third one is we are going to some of the Bhagat's places, and that's being sung by a male voice who's no more with us. This was the last recording he did, 14 verses, but all the details are there on the website. But the main 2 singers who are singing Guru Nanak's verses are 2 voices you'll find in the series. This is not explicit there, but we are hoping that people understand this, because every creative aspect should not be spelled out. I can spell it out here to you, but many people don't understand this. Some have understood it, right? So there are 2 kinds of voices that are singing. Every time an episode will open up with this female voice and it'll end with a female voice. That's just a thought of Nanak. And there are 2 journeys happening in parallel in this series, in this 20 hours of content, 24 episodes. One is Guru Nanak's journey, which we are trying to tell and through that trying to understand Guru Nanak. The other is our journey in current times on his footsteps. Now, I am also a human. My team is also made up of humans. We are going to have our own thoughts when we're going to go. And those thoughts, we will not try and answer them with our limited mindset. We will try and decipher them, but we'll find the answers through Guru Nanak's words to address those situations. which are applying to the contemporary times. So my heart, which is moving in this journey in the present times, is represented by the female voice. It's the feminine aspect of my heart, which is Salima Khwaja's voice, represents my heart's voice in the current context. The male voice, whenever it will sing, there are about 120 verses sung by this male voice, Satninder Singh Bodal. Whenever the male sings, it means in the Janam Sakhi tradition, in the hagiographies, this dialogue is written there. In Jagannath, if he's having a dialogue, that is being sung by him. It's come from the Janam Sakhi tradition. If in Mecca he's having a dialogue, that's coming through this verse in that particular male voice. So male voice is a representation of Guru Nanak in the form of musicology and the dialogue. We are not personifying Guru Nanak in this series. So the male voice is going to be telling this is the dialogue he had. The female voice represents Amardeep's soul as a presenter. Actually, it's my team's soul, which is in today's time trying to find the answers to those situations, sometimes explicit, sometimes not explicit. Sometimes we'll say something and just skim away. Sometimes we'll get into depth of it, but we will find the answers through his verses. Because we are not here to preach you to what we think. We are going to find the answers through his voice, through his words, right? So any questions out here when you're going to go and see the series, you are now in a slightly head start because you understand the structure of the musicology inside this. By the way, every verse has been sung in the rag that it has been written. It has been quite a task to record this because that's a separate thing. If we want question answer, we'll talk about it. But getting the musicology in the rags done across the borders, and Salima Khwaja is from Pakistan, and Satninder Bodal is from India, and we are sitting in Singapore. How we did it was a mammoth task. Pronunciation issues, Gurmukhi to Urdu, rags, the division of India and Pakistan has not just divided people and land and cultures, has also divided music. The rags that even in Punjab, we are ourselves not knowing the rags. Even lesser portion of that is known in Punjab of Pakistan because that whole tradition is eloped. So how do you revive that? It's been quite a task. It has taken us close to 1.5 years to complete these recordings. But we've maintained our position that we want to do it right. And that's what has got us there. Okay. I'm going to now bring this to an end. I'm not going to get into this, but this is the project, just so that you know, we are working on for the last 2.5 years. We still have 3 years of work left. If you go down to this website, you can read it yourself. Do a little bit of homework. I'll not take too much of your time. Go to this website, onenessindiversity.com. It's simple, onenessindiversity.com. Go onto that website, see it on your computer. We are building an audiovisual content based on the writings in the prescribed musicology, reattempting the translations in the metaphoric form and giving the entire content in audiovisual format, 1,653 verses. 2.5 years of work has happened. Another 3 years of work is left. This is not the entire Guru Granth Sahib. It's just Guru Nanak and the 15 Indic saints from diverse cultures. But I will not delve deeper into it because all that is written there on the website. You can read it for yourself and see it. That's pretty much it. I'm bringing this to an end. I'm just looking at time. Sorry, I've gone a bit over. I said it's going to take 1.5 hours. I've gone probably 10 minutes over that also. But there are going to be 4 more sessions. Sorry, I didn't change the slide up there. It's not Sylhet Road 6, and I just gave this presentation there. But yeah, there are going to be 4. These dates are from there itself. Just ignore all these dates. But session 2, we will do Guru Nanak in the Indian subcontinent, his first Udasi. Session 3 will be Guru Nanak in the northern territories. Second Udasi. Third one will be in the Islamic regions. The 4th session, and 5th one will be along the land of 5 rivers. So I want to bring this to an end. I know I've not gone into details of the Udasi right now, but I think purpose was to get you all onto the same page. Sorry, I can't hear anyone. You all are on mute here.
Beautiful. Sarabjit, you wanna go ahead?
I'm speechless. I think there's so much behind the scenes than what is apparent, what you see, and the behind the scenes is what inspires, what gives you the perspective. And Amardeep Virji, I feel there should be more Amardeeps created out of these conversations. We need people, to really, pick from you. I think God bless you. I think what you have done is phenomenal, phenomenal, Seva Virji. I think this is amazing. I am no words. I think you're making me realize my age. You're making me realize, when you speak, I see how shallow I am. You're giving me a mirror. I'm sure we are all in a journey which everybody would be reflecting from whatever, but just limiting. Thank you so much, Virji. This was
Just
God bless
because
you.
just because my name is deep does not mean I'm deep, right? So you're not neither are you shallow.
I like that.
Yeah,
Neither are you shallow,
yeah,
and neither am I deep. Everyone is unique. You are you, I am me. Let's move on and build on each one's strength.
yeah.
Let me tell you one thing. Yes, behind everything that you see, there is a lot that is behind. The challenge is when you give something free of charge. I was taught in the University of Chicago when I did my MBA. Our marketing professor used to say that never give anything free of cost because you reduce the value to zero. This is a classic example. Released in September 2021, we are sitting in October 2025. We get more feedback and more comprehensive write ups from non Sikhs, non adherents of Guru Nanak. The adherents of Guru Nanak want shallow stuff. They want Punjabi music. That's fine. I mean, I also appreciate that. Today morning, I was listening to Baiju Bawra. I'm also human. That's fine. But when such a big body of work has been done, you want the Nanak of shallowness, which is fine because partly we are to be blamed because we've not monetized it. But then I can't monetize it because this docu-series, if I was to give you the number, guess how much it has costed. If someone knows it, then don't say, but I want someone else to say that. Take a guess how much it has costed.
At, at least 500,000 easily in dollars.
When we started to do it, I went to National Geographic. My vision was, I'm not a filmmaker, I told you, right? And neither am I an author, but we've done it. We have the right intent, anything is possible, right? What you need is leadership, right? Uh, I wanted to do a National Geographic kind of format. By the way, it is National Geographic format, by the way. Right? It is National Geographic format. But I wanted National Geographic to do it. We went to them. Here's the answer we got in 2018. Not possible to do it in the format that you're wanting to do it, requiring to travel to every place, because the geopolitical situation is such that it can change anytime. And this project will require a minimum of 8 years to complete. 2 to 3 years we need to understand Nanak. And thereafter, we're going to actually start filming. And the entire dynamics can change in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Tibet. We may not be able to get permissions to film. How are you going to do it? Not possible in today's world. So first, outright, no, it cannot be done. And if it has to be done in this format, in 8 years, it's going to cost a minimum of 35 million US dollars. Okay, we started filming Jan 2019. September 2021, the first episode was out. And so that is just barely 3 years. We continued with other languages thereafter, but we got the first episodes out in 3 years' time and at 3 million US dollars. Now, I could make that 3 million into probably 20 million. Then I would not be sitting and talking to you today because I would be having 20 million in my bank balance. I don't need to talk to you, right? But the fact is, it was not my money. It is by the people. It is for the people. The lost heritage work that was done created a certain legitimacy of Amardeep's intent. where not the masses, only a few people around the world saw that let him try if he can succeed. We never had a surplus in our, when you do these projects, you first raise the money, you put it into your balance sheet, and then you do the task. We started with $20,000. And every time my balance sheet would be going into a red, a parachute would open. There was never a surplus in our balance sheet. And we've done it in 5 languages. By the time we finished the 5th language, it was end of 2020. It was early 2023. And the entire cost had hit $3 billion. But we never had a surplus, not more than 1 month of surplus in our balance sheet. But parachutes kept opening. So when you believe in that energy that's getting you to do this, then it had to be by the people, for the people. Right now it's lying there. And whether the adherents of Nanak choose to see it or don't see it, it doesn't matter. We moved on to our next projects. None of our organizations had had a chance to even, not that we did it for recognition, but none of our apex organizations even have had a chance to look at it. But when I see they are willing to endorse films, they are willing to endorse shallow bodies of work, but then they don't have a time to even look at it because sometimes I think they've not even understood what has been done. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Anybody
That's
else?
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no. I was saying I'm opening for if Shippreet ji want to say something and anybody else.
Yeah, because it's been a long meeting, I think I want to say something and then adjourn, and then perhaps if there are people who want to stay, I'll stay back for questions. But thank you so much, Amardeep ji. This was fascinating. We are looking forward to learning from you, and there obviously is a lot. Um, and it's been uh, I think one of the things that we do well as a group is if you give us homework, we will do it. And so I encourage you to give us homework. And, I can suggest this. Perhaps by the next time we meet, one of the things we can do is at least watch the first Udasi so we can have a meaningful.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
This is not Money Heist. You can't see it in one shot. Okay, see, we are meeting next Sunday. If that's the time you are looking to me, I'll be in India. You have about 7 days.
No,
If you
no,
want to
no, no,
stretch,
no.
if you want to
I don't
stretch,
think uh, actually next Sunday, I think we have something already on.
okay, you
Actually,
figure.
Amardeep ji, we actually had programs
Okay,
until March booked,
all right.
and we took uh, one of our Sundays out from that.
Okay,
So we've invited a bunch of speakers through March. We have 3 or 4 openings, and we would love if those times match. And Sarabjit will tell you.
okay.
Um, so
So by the
let's.
way, so if you are, I would tell you the pace to watch at. You should go maximum 2 episodes a week.
Yeah, so I was thinking we would meet next month, and so you can watch, the first Udasi until then.
Say first Udasis, you'll have to reach up to 17th episode.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's that. Perhaps
See
that's
whatever you can. See whatever you can. If you were to meet next, I'll give you a benchmark. If we had to meet next Sunday, I would have given you homework. See the first 2 episodes. Okay.
okay.
All right. So if you're going to meet after a month, at least see 5 episodes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. We can see we can watch 5 episodes. I think a lot of our members are meditators, and so they do a deep listening and deep thinking. So they'll take more time to watch these episodes than your normal person. But it's fascinating to hear you talk. And by the way, I didn't realize that, but I went to Chicago as well. So
Okay.
I did my MBA at Chicago, and then after 20 years of doing Wall Street, I said, "Oh, give all this up and do do music all the time."
The analytical
Little-
study of The analytical study in Chicago turns everyone off.
I ended up going to the most analytical schools in the world. I did my undergrad at Berkeley, and then I did my MBA at Chicago, and now I'm doing music. Anyhow, this is absolutely fascinating. I think we'll have to go back and listen to what Amardeep ji said to really understand what really happened. To me, I've taken 4 pages of notes, but I've still I feel like I need to go back and listen. And
Gulshan was trying to say something. Do you want or
Hanji,
you
Hanji,
want?
there's a
Yeah,
bunch of people, but before we go on to questions, I want to say if people want to leave, there will our homework will be on the seekers group, and perhaps Sarabjit ji, we can help Amardeep ji access to that so he can see what we are doing. Um, and he doesn't need to spend time on it, but if he wants to, he can see it. But thanks everyone for being here. The meeting is adjourned. But if you still have questions, at least I'll be here, and a few others will be here. We'll take the questions as they come. Gulshan ji first.
yeah. I feel so bad that I've been searching to know about Guru Nanak ji from but I never got to your episodes, and I just watched 5 because I couldn't watch them fast enough. But they're so close to my heart because I'm also into philosophy of Guru Nanak ji. And because of that, I first started with Upanishads, and now when I'm reading the trying to read the Guru Granth Sahib, nowhere even, I've not even reached page 17 of it. It's so beautiful that you've talked about philosophy and not just delved into the history of Sikhism, which is, I don't know. That's what I left my medicine to go into philosophy of Guru Granth Sahib. So thank you very
Where do
much.
you stay, Gulshan ji?
I stay in Canada, in London, Ontario.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, this was I'm into the philosophy part of Guru Granth Sahib, which is just mind blowing, and everything has been written in um, such an easy way for every person. If they just listen with their heart, you can understand what Guru Granth Sahib is saying to you.
So, Gulshan ji, I mean, I'll just suggest, I mean, of course, since you've seen 5 episodes, when you get time, just go to the oneness-in-diversity.com website.
Yeah, I've already opened it.
Yeah, and we have released a bunch of the verses of Guru Nanak and of Kabir ji, and 44 of Baba Farid are getting released this week. If nothing else, just start with Japji of Guru Nanak, because you'll find, I'm not trying to sell anything, but we are trying to approach it in a very non-God centric approach.
Yes.
Because you and I and everything of this entire creation is God itself. So you have to approach it differently. Read the Japji itself, those 41 verses there, Mool Mantra and the verses. And if you want to listen to it also. But there are videos, there are PDF files, and then there are pure music form and so inside it. So see that, I mean, how you connect with it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for, yeah.
Thank you, Ishmeet ji.
Uh, Thank you, Amardeep ji. It was so amazing listening to you. Both Anandaya. Thank you so much. And I was asking Virji Shiprit if I can get the recording as soon, because I just loved it and I want to listen to it right now also again. So if
Go to the source, not to Amardeep's talk. Go to Guru Nanak's docu-series. Forget Amardeep. I'm just blabbering at, what time is it? I'm blabbering at 1 o'clock my time, right? So forget me. See, get to the docu-series. You will
Wow,
learn more there.
it's so late. Thank you so much for doing this so late. Thank you so
No
much.
worries, no worries.
Lamba Sab.
Shashikal and Amardeep ji, thank you very much to top up my fuel tank. That's Guru Nanak. I can't. I don't have the words to say anything. That I can say I'm spellbound and
My fuel tank is top up now, and I have a reserve fuel talking to you today to go further on the Guru Nanak journey.
Will it be easier for
I
us
have
to
reserve fuel now.
change our will it be easier for us to change our time so it's not such a terrible time for you?
Don't worry.
1
Don't
p.m.
worry. Don't worry, Shiv. It's all right. Don't
Okay.
worry. I stay.
Um,
I live in this what you call
We
as
can do that.
I no Shiv. I'll tell you what. Where I stay is the wagging tail of the world because everything is so US centric that all throughout my life in American Express, I've only taken calls at this time. So I'm so used to it. So it's all right.
Excellent. Prerna ji, go ahead.
Sat Shri Akal, everybody. Thank you so much for this amazing presentation. And I've started watching the docu-series. And you actually addressed one of my questions. Like you said, I've taken reference from the Janam Sakis. And I was wondering, and I'm so glad you clarified. And please correct me if I have understood correctly, that your emphasis is to deliver the philosophy by the verses that have been narrated with musicology, rather than focusing on the travel part. Did I understand that correctly?
Travels is a mere excuse to get the attention onto the video because if Amardeep's voice is simply there and I'm giving sermons, you'll probably go to sleep, right? So travel adds variety, sites, locations, modern aspects, the narrative unfolds. But at the end of the day, the messaging is the only reason why this series has been made.
Right. Thank you. It's beautifully done. I mean, it's really beautiful. And I was wondering if you had filmmaking background, but it's shocking to hear that you had no. But it's probably that inner dispassion that drew you to become the instrument to do this mammoth project. Have I understood correctly?
I mean, you are no one. There's some energy that puts the thought in your mind. You see, there's a verse that will come in episode 22, in the episode 22. So Nanak will say, Hum adami ha ikdami. Dam is breath. I exist as an adami. Break the adami. Adami, dam. If the breath comes, I exist. Else I don't exist. I think my life is 80 years. If the next breath does not come, I don't exist. That's where the word adami is made, right? Adami, one breath at a time, right? We don't exist. Even we don't control our thoughts. How do you think I can control a narrative? By the way, here's what I'll tell you. I told you the secret of how the money came. There's no balance sheet. We started with $20,000. Parachutes kept opening. But then, as I said earlier, why should the energy choose you? What have you done? I told you, so many years I was doing something. I'm trying to understand that now. But when I was doing it, I just had a vision. That's it. I want to do this. The energy was enabling it, right? I'll tell you another aspect. People will not believe me. I've had a lot of problems on many borders, many nations. I've had a lot of problems, okay, getting inside because this narrative cannot be filmed easily. Even in India, let's say you take a drone and try and fly it over Jagannath. Which police guys are going to allow you, right, today? But we got high quality shots going all over. It's happening, right? Today, the world, from an Indian subcontinent perspective, hovers around two nations which are enemies of each other, India and Pakistan, right? You go and do something in Pakistan, the Indian guys will be after you. You go and do something in India itself, there'll be some problem. I've had my fair shares of problem, as I said, alluded in the beginning when I did my two books. I've never written my stories, but I've been picked up. I've been banned 3 times to enter, but some energy was pulling me inside. That's not the story. I'm telling you into a small focus group, but I don't say this in the public forums, right? But I've had my fair share of problems in India too afterwards, after I've done the narrative and given it across. Intelligence wants to find reasons to satisfy themselves, and you just need to be black, put onto a red mark. No one's going to have the patience to look at what you're delivering, what's the message you're seeing. They don't even get down to the series. They don't have the time. All they want to do is flag. How did you do it in Pakistan? Well, they will not ask you, how did you do it in Afghanistan? How did you do it in Tibet? How did you do it in Saudi? How did you do it in Iraq? How did you do it in India itself? No one wants to know that question. So this is filled with challenges. But some blessing is opening it up for you. And the only piece I want to say is that there is not a single person in our team. You're saying that, Amardeep, have you done film? Well, we are putting it all together. We have a visual sense. And I said musicology. I can't sing still, right? But I have a fair understanding of musicology because there's a lot I've delved into it. Every member of the team who has been there in creating this magnus opus, none of them has been interviewed by us. They would come to us and we'll say, Aja bhai, do you have the willingness to do it? Come over. The energy was sending the right people to us. That's it. No interviews. I still hold it very proud. I'm very proud about it that we didn't interview a single person in our team. Otherwise, you do a Netflix docu-series or National Geographic, you'll keep interviewing the people only. Because there's some energy that's trying to make it happen for you. That's why I said, hum aadmi ya ekdami. Your thought also you don't own. And I can tell you one thing, this is an energy cycle. It will stop at one point. As much as I'll try and do something, it will not happen. Because energy comes in cycles. I cannot be on the pinnacle. I cannot be a Shah Rukh Khan all the time, right? Even Shah Rukh Khan is not Shah Rukh Khan today.
So if you were to look back when you started, how would you reflect on the journey 5 years later or 6 years later, having this docu series, that you've given to the world, which is gorgeous. I mean, I've just started watching and I'm fascinated by it. So what would your post reflections be? Because you say you're not deep, but you are deep.
I
I'm
love
sorry,
it, Prernaji.
I'm very curious.
I love the confidence, Prernaji. Lovely.
All right.
Oh,
Okay. Prernaji, how many episodes have you seen?
I think I'm on the fourth one. Yeah, I watched
Okay.
the first two very fast, but the third one I kept repeating. As
Baba,
Shivji said, we watch things very slowly, and you keep rewinding. And
We are
I've
a
just
very
started the
slow group.
fourth.
Yeah.
that's
We are a
fine.
very slow group.
That's fine. The series, if someone watches it in less than 6 months, then you've not understood anything, right? Okay, to answer your question, so you've seen 4 episodes. Have you felt good about it?
I just feel so enriched.
Okay,
I
then,
feel enriched, and I wrote that on the group too. I mean, I'm like blown away.
okay, now I'll give you my answer to that question that you're asking me, right?
Okay.
Next time you go to the playground outside your home or in a park, look at that seesaw. And kids on one side and the other side, they're going up and down. When the one who goes down, see that as Amardeep, and see yourself as Prerna, and the other side who's going up. If you are going up, it doesn't matter what happens to me. It really doesn't matter. Right? So what happens to me 5 years from now, how I reflect into it, what happens to raise the collective consciousness of the society, someone has to go down. Look, when we were getting into Afghanistan, you think it's been a bed of roses? We got 2 daughters. The mental trauma they have suffered, right? Now when I reflect back, I said, was it worth it? I think it was worth it, right? But like Nanak, when he walked away, what happens to his wife? What happens to his kids? When Buddha walks away, what happens to his wife, right? No one talks about that story. It doesn't matter. To lift the bigger consciousness, something has to be given up. I've given up a corporate career. I could be making money $1 million right now, right? So if I have to reflect, do I reflect on that? Do I reflect on this? Or what do I reflect on, right? Doesn't matter. If you are going up, let's applaud that.
You answered my question by not answering, but thank you.
No, answers should never be answered. The questions should never be answered. Questions should be led into an answer. That's what allegory is. Allegory is that. It's not a spoon feeding.
Prernaji, does this remind you of what we did last
Absolutely.
the question and answer series? If you have answers, you've got some problem. Saurabh ji.
I want to just go back to your very beautiful way in which you started when said that, the energy chooses somebody. And at that point of time when you were doing it, you didn't know why. Have you been able to reflect to this point that why did energy choose you? Or is there a formula which you are able to find by which, somebody can attract that energy?
I've given the answer, Saurav, but I'll repeat it for you.
Mm.
It's all there. I'm just going to repeat it. You don't even own your breath. You don't even own your thought.
Okay.
Right? You only own what you're doing. So the story that I told you earlier, I said at 17 years, I subconsciously started on something, not to do this project at one point of time, but do what is close to your heart. You want to be, there's nothing good or bad or nothing different, higher. You want to be a cook, become the kitchen. You want to be a gardener, become the plant in the garden, become the garden itself, right? Give it your best. What are you doing? And as I said, the next purpose will be right behind you. You don't need to look for the purpose. In my life, from 17 years to 48 years, I was not going and sitting in pubs, and in the finance industry, everyone goes and sits in the pubs and this and that. I'm not a perfect person. I'm not the most this thing, and I have my own shares of things that I've done, but time is limited. And from 17 years to 48 years, when my doors were shut there, and I told you I was disoriented, all I know is there's something else I was doing always. That's all that the energy is looking for. What is it that you have done? It's a long haul game, right?
Yeah.
You want to do a docu-series at the age of 48 years? Then go and do it commercially, raise the money, go to the banks, go to the sponsors here, there, get money and make a commercial venture. A lot of people making films. You can do it. You can one fine day get up and do it, but that's a commercial thing, right? Here, I mean, it's not the docu-series, it's not the videos, it's what's gone behind it. If I'll tell you a story, if you are still not getting it, I mean, I've given you many stories around. I'll give you, I mean, we can keep talking, but it'll never end, right? But the entire Tibetan plateau in 2019 was a red zone for drone flying. There are 3 zones in drones: red, green, and yellow. Like an airport is always a red zone. Around that in the periphery is a yellow zone, and then there's a green zone. You can fly a drone in the green zone. You come into a yellow zone, warning starts coming in. You get into a red zone, it will be forced to drop down. Entire Tibetan plateau is a red zone by the Chinese government. You can't take a drone inside. We managed to take our drone because the technology had reduced from Phantom to Mavic Pro in 2018, and we in 2019 had bought this Mavic. We dismantled it. We put it in different bags, and we took it into the island, into the plateau. We didn't even know if we'll be able to join it back. We didn't put it on till we reached Kailash, and finally we assembled it. And our person with us is saying that cannot fly here; it's a red zone. And we flew it. It flew to give us 95% of the footage that we wanted. How can I explain that?
Oh, this is beautiful.
Okay,
Beautiful.
I'll give you one more example.
Yeah.
You are a traveler who goes to Italy and you want to enter US from there. And you're a person from, let's say, Singapore. You're traveling to Italy and you have to suddenly go to US. Can you apply for a visa for US from Italy because you're a Singaporean? You're traveling there, you're just traveling. Can you?
No.
Not possible in today's world,
Yeah.
right? It's not permitted. You have to go to your home country.
Correct.
We got our visas to enter. How I entered Iran, Pakistan is a different ball game because I did the 2 books with a still camera. Now I'm going with cameras and drones. That itself is raising eyebrows in the Indian side, right? Although I've been banned on the other side, right? How I've done it is a different story. But once I'm there, I'm entering Afghanistan and Iraq by taking a stamp in the visa in Pakistan and entering from there. I'm a Singapore citizen. It's not possible, but I enter from there. How is it possible in today's world? People, I tell this story to people, you don't get it. I mean, we did 70 terabytes of data, 18 months of filming. We come to Singapore 3 days before we finish our filming, the world has shut down because of COVID. COVID has worked to our advantage because we come to Singapore. Now the whole world is shut down. Creative space is at its best, no one to disturb you. You are churning it through. You're rewriting the net. 18 months back, what we filmed, we've forgotten. We've just put it on drives and drives and drives. 70 terabytes of data we've carried from one flight to the other to other, and we got to Singapore because the world shut down. I'm figuring out how do I edit this, man? How do I edit this? I call up our guy from Salman in Pakistan. I said, Salman, I want to edit this, man. We are stuck with COVID. What do we do? He said, you know what? Kamran's a good editor. He's his friend. He's a good documentary editor. Talk to him. I talked to him. I said, look, if I can get you an employment pass, will you come over? He says, yeah, I'll come over, right? So I told him, here are the conditions. I can't get you. We are in a COVID situation. You stay with us in our home. And we'll stay here and we'll just crank this through. But I don't know if I can get you an employment pass because Singapore government was very, very strong in the COVID time, right? Very, very strong. All the Google guys, Facebook, Meta, all the guys who were stepping out were not allowed to enter the country. Employment passes were being cancelled left, right, center. You know what I did? I said, unless you try, I just believe, unless you try, you don't know what the outcome is. I applied to the Singapore immigration saying that we are the first guys who have filmed the entire narrative of Guru Nanak. 18 months it has taken. So it's going to be a Singapore production. A Singaporean cannot stitch this narrative because the linguistic, cultural, philosophical aspects can only be understood by a person who's from the lands where Guru Nanak was born and breathed his last. And that has to be Kamran. Not even a Sikh. Right? So here comes a Muslim guy who has nothing to do with Guru Nanak, and he lands up in Singapore because his pass gets approved, right? And I tell Kamran, you're going to go nowhere. He sat with us, he lived with us for 3 years. And now he's gone back. But so how do you get his visa? I mean, some strange things happening, right? This is why I said it will not repeat again. It'll end, right? So
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vijay. Lamaji, you had a question?
Yeah. Amardeep, I have a question here for a bit different, like Ikamkar. It starts with Ikamkar. Ik is numerical. Om is Om. Kar, the sign on that, Kar. It is not, I had not find it further used in Granth Sahib. Maybe I don't know about it further, but whatever I had seen, I had not seen it used anywhere else, that particular sign. How did that sign come? Do you have any idea of that history of that particular sign of car? Meaning is clear for that. Doer, it's what I understand is karta, it's fine, but the sign particular I'm talking about. I hope I'm clear with my question.
Om, no, you're there, right? Om, you have to just open up your horizons. Omkar is not unique to Sikh tradition. Om is something different. By the way, when you're talking about signs, I'll tell you what I've studied there are things get conditioned. Let's go to Om, then Omkar, and then Ikomkar, okay? Om. By the way, do you know there are 2 types of Oms? One Om is dead. The Om that we have inherited today is an Om from the Gangetic belt, which is what we know of 3, and then there's like this and a Chandra Bindu on top. That's the Om. In my books, in Lost Heritage, you will find places where Om is reflected, because today we are divided into Hindu, Sikhs, Muslims, right? But in the Indus region, our forefathers were living very different. The Om that is used there is different to the Om that's used in the Gangetic belt. And I can't draw it here, but it is, for those who know Hindi, पर आ की मात्रा, ऊपर ए की मात्रा, and a dot. Aom, aom, if you can visualize. पर आ की मात्रा, ऊपर ए की मात्रा, and a dot there. That's different than the Om that you got. We may chest beat around and saying Hari Singh Nalwa is the great Sikh general and all. There was no Sikh kingdom, by the way. By calling it a Sikh kingdom, you are demeaning a big vision of Sarkar-e-Khalsa, Ranjit Singh, who himself did not call himself Maharaja. The entire Umdat Tariq calls himself Sarkar, a humble Sarkar. The empire was Sarkar-e-Khalsa. Khalsa is Puritian, where Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs all got an equal opportunity. Right? The soldiery was made up of all the people. That Sarkar-e-Khalsa's general, whom the Sikhs have boxed into the Sikh aspect, at Jamrod, in 2014, after partition, probably I'm one of the few people who entered first into the Jamrod, right? That is there in my book. At Hari Singh Nalwa's Samadhi, there is no Ekonkar written there. The Samadhi where he was actually cremated was built in 1892. Hari Singh Nalwa dies 1837. 1892, where he's cremated, inside Jamrod Fort, a Samadhi is made by Babu Gajjul Mal Kapoor of Peshawar. Babu Gajjul Mal Kapoor probably is from this Kapoor families of Bollywood, their ancestors. And he's writing not Ekonkar on top, he's writing Aom of the Aparaki Matra, O and dot. Om upar likha hai. Things are very different today than what it was in the past. And that's a proof. So one is the narratives itself, Om. It can be two different symbols. So to use, you talk to me about Ekonkar, the symbol. I'm talking about Om, the symbol itself is different, right? Then the next is Omkar. Omkar is not unique to Sikh tradition. Omkar you find as a Bani, the word Omkar is there in the Indic traditions, right? In the many Shaivite traditions you have, in the Nath Parampara, you have Omkar as a tradition. When you will listen to the episode number 20, see the episode 20, when we enter Balochistan, at the Shakti Peeth of Hinglaj Mata, from where Guru Nanak takes a boat and heads towards Mecca. The Jangam Jogis are Shaivites. In Punjab, they were still there, but now they're finishing off, right? Of the Nath Sampradaya. They would chamta leke, they would sing, right? Jangam Jogi. We've got a track of a Jangam Jogi who's singing, and there's a background music. The dialogue of Nanak with Nath Jogis is different. It's going to be sung as a Shabad. But as we are entering the Hinglaj, listen to the music behind. The Jangam Jogis are singing Ekomkar ka bhajan karanti, Ekomkar ka bhajan karanti. He's talking about Hinglaj Mata, Karanti. Feminine. Karanti. Ekomkar ka bhajan karanti. A Shaivite tradition is singing Ekomkar ka bhajan karanti. Who's got the proprietary of it? I was born in Gorakhpur. Today, it's boxed into a political narrative. But I remember going to Gorakhnath temple as a very young kid. I didn't understand these things that time. But something in my subconscious would always get imprinted. And then many years later, I went back and I said, there's something that's calling me in there. And I went back inside the Gorakhnath temple, which is the Nath Sampraday's temple. Because Guru Gorakhnath was big. And you see it in episode 19 when Guru Nanak is having dialogues with Balnath Jogi of the Nath traditions and so on and so forth, right? And I went inside, went at 4 a.m. There's an arti happening in which they are singing Ekomkar. Who's the custodian of it? Who decides who's the custodian of it? Just because your narrative has been boxed, so you think you are the custodian. No, this is This is beyond boundaries. So I think you have to open up your mind. So to your point, that's the Omkar, right? Ik Omkar, I think, is unique to Nanak, giving it a form, putting ik and Omkar. Omkar, always Om was being written as Omkar in the Indic traditions, right? But giving it a form of that thing on top, which today, unfortunately, in the Sikh tradition, in fact, I met the other day someone, he's saying, Omkar Ude to bane hai. I said, you just got it wrong, man. It's unique. It's got nothing to do with Uda. It's unique. It's a unique representation of Omkar. Omkar is not coming from Uda. It's just unique. It's not an alphabet. So Nanak has given it because you don't find it elsewhere. But I'm trying to give you a bigger landscape of understand that things evolve, come from different perspectives. Narratives are never as black and white.
Absolutely, I agree with you. My basically, I want to just know about like that particular sign. I did not see it anywhere else. Is it given by Guru Nanak itself, or it was further later on developed by others? That was. Do you happen to come across this
I
anywhere?
can't say I can say more than what I've said. I mean,
Ah, thank
yeah,
you.
I can't
Okay,
say. Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
Thank
Unless there are any further questions, let's let Amardeep ji go. It's very late for him. This has been a fantastic session. There will be a recording, and I believe Sarjeet ji has recorded this, so we should have this. Amardeep ji, do you have any problem having this on a public's page, or you're okay with that?
That's all right.
Okay.
I haven't been beheaded in the last 12 years, so I don't think anyone's going to behead me now.
uh, Anyways, it's been fascinating. We're looking forward to seeing you again. Um, and we can do the four programs, or if you can come whenever you have some time, and
No,
we
I
can
don't
go
think you'll
over.
ever go. As I told Sarabji the other day, you have to. I've got 10 other things happening, right? So as
Yeah,
long as I know, I'm telling you a window that's going to be open. We'll have to nail it down because I travel
yeah.
a lot. I've got other things happening, production and all. So it's not going to be happening whenever you want to come. You have to nail it down. Or
Yeah,
there's
so
this one.
it will, yeah. So if we can, if we have more notice, like this time we only had less than a week notice. If we have more notice, we'll be better prepared also. So that works for us as well.
So I
So,
told,
so if
so
you can,
I said the availability is next week. You don't want to do it, that's fine. Next week. The next availability is mid of November.
sure,
That's the earliest that's there.
okay,
Why don't we discuss it in the admin meeting and
yeah,
or between us, and then we figure it out, because we've got this month's programs already scheduled, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So why don't we just do that, and
Yeah,
then we
we'll do
can
that.
let him know, right?
Also, it seems it will be a better enriching experience if we
Yes,
go through the docu-series slower and then have Amardeep ji come and talk to us. I think that'll be a much better,
Yeah.
more enriching experience. Uh,
absolutely, I
and it
agree.
will also work better for schedules. He's very busy. We have things lined out. If we can pick times that work for both, I think that'll be great. And we,
Quality is
we
better than quantity.
and Sarabjit
You
ji
know,
will, like he has, he's gonna
Yeah,
coordinate
I'll
this.
connect
Thank you
with
so much.
Virji. I think he's traveling post the next. He's in India next week, and maybe then November, sometimes later. That's what he said. I'll coordinate with him.
So by the way, I mean, Shiv, if after this baseline structure, if it has motivated you enough, and if you start getting the docu-series, you don't need Amardeep, right?
Yeah, I tell the same thing to people who listen to my shabads. 90% of them don't listen to my shabads. They just have heard other people listening to my shabads. They're like, wow, you are a very, your shabads are very moving because they've heard other people say that.
you know,
So that's how you create
But it
fans.
hasn't that happened? Doesn't that apply to this group also? Because none of you have seen it, but you heard
Yeah,
others,
no,
and then you're
so
clapping.
I'm just giving you some solace.
So
Is that I'm giving you the solace. I'm reading Tagore's poetry right now. I'm reading Emily Dickinson's poetry. These creative works are timeless, and they take a lot of time, a long time for people to ingest. I've done maybe 1,500 shabads. I don't think people will listen to more than 20 of them in my lifetime. So that's wonderful. As artists, we get to live multiple lifetimes. Um, so
Also, I think there's a divine timing.
congratulations to yeah no congratulations to all that you're doing. You really, Amardeep's gonna last 500 years, maybe 1,000. And as long as Guru Nanak is here, Amardeep's gonna be here. So congratulations to you, and we're gonna celebrate you along, Prerna ji.
And I also think there's a divine timing. I mean, I had heard about your videos or the Allegri in 2021 when the first thing, but I was not drawn to it. But now that you are, presenting at the Seekers, I was drawn to it. And I believe there's a timing for everything.
Okay,
So,
the last word goes to Harmanji. She never comes to these meetings, and she's very busy. She's a mom. There are kids running around. She cannot make any time, but she has made time today, and that's how special you are, Amardeep ji. And so we'll give her the last word. Go ahead.
Thank you, Shiv. I'm actually just dropped my middle son at a birthday party, jumped back in my van to finish this. And Amardeep, you made an impact by following your consciousness wherever it led you for my entire family to watch the tapestry of Guru Nanak. And which golden nuggets I had from today. I had that question, like, how did you discover where Guru Nanak traveled? Like, how do you do that? And you answer that for me of like, that's just the art, that art that you created, wrap my children who are 10, 8, and 4 to sit there with us and watch this art piece you designed. And it's the vibration of Guru Nanak's words that brought us here together. And I hear what Shiv says and what Amardeep says, all very similar. I just have gratitude for Sarbjeet for bringing you here today, and just thank you.
Thanks a lot, Arman. So I think, I'll tell you one of the best feedbacks that we have, me and my wife. By the way, let me tell you one thing. This is not Amardeep alone. So there's the female energy with me. That's my
Yes.
wife. We do it all together.
Mm.
And we fight a lot, right? With every verse, every translation, unless she approves it or I approve it, it doesn't go through, right? So it's a collective team. Um, and she's been, as I would say, the wind under the wings. You see the wings outside, but she's the wind, right? Uh, but we often have reflected on many feedbacks that have come over the years. The best ones have been what you just have said. Many people have said this to us, is that the series has brought our family together. You are probably one of those many who have said that. And we think that's the closest to our heart when people say the series has brought our family together. No, thanks a lot.
One of the questions my husband said was, "Where's Guru Nanak's wife in all of this?" And I respect that you honor your wife in this journey and your family too.
Oh, well, I took her along with me. She went to Afghanistan. Actually, without her, Afghanistan filming or any other film, especially Afghanistan, wouldn't have happened if she was not there. Having the female energy uh, is the reason why we succeeded, because your equipments don't get checked that much then.
I happened to meet Harmanji in Gurgaon. I met both of them, and there was a question answers, and some of the answers she gave me were like, wow. Like, we just asked her, he was so candid when asked, how did the series change him? Amardeep Virji was very modest. He says, I'm a producer, I am a filmmaker. When I spoke to her and we asked this question, and she was so profound in saying, a lot of things. So, it was a pleasure to meet you, Amardeep Virji, with Vinny ji in this thing. And there's some of the shabads where I've seen her with Salima Khwaja ji. I think there's so many stories would be there around that. But that Harka Bilovana Bilovo Mere Bhai, which I've seen, where she's sitting on a mat and with her, very beautiful. so much to it, so much to this. I think we're just touching the surface, surely, in that sense. But
Yeah. And I think if we do 4 sessions with Amardeep ji, I think we need at least 5 with Vinny ji.
that's
Yes.
the beauty. That's
I think
fantastic.
I vote for that.
Same.
I
You know
Yes.
what?
I I
You know what,
second
Sarabjit?
it.
You know what,
Now,
Sarabjit?
now you're feeling the energy of this group.
You know what, Sarabjit?
Yes,
You know what, Sarabjit? Uh, take the number, call her up,
I'll do
convince her to
that.
come on. She's shy of the public appearances, but I'm not stopping her. Whatever you
I,
want to ask
I'll
her,
manage. I'll manage.
go and get
Okay.
her.
I'll manage.
Okay.
I am a qasid. In Urdu, qasid means messenger. So I
Mm.
was a messenger for this group. I did not do anything. Honestly speaking, all credit to the group. There was this came out in the call because I'm getting all this, applaud for it, which I'm feeling very happy about. Good. But no, it is Shiprit Virji nudged me. Do you know him? I said yes. I met him and I have his number, and so I'm a qasid and I'll take the message to her as well. Now I'll become your messenger. I'll take it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, keep singing, everyone. Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to see all of you again. It's been one of our longest, but one of our, I think,
Let's
most
test.
memorable. Most memorable. And so, thank you, everyone, for being there. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sat Shri Akal. Sarenu.
Tashika.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Uh,
There was
Shiprit,
one thing I wanted to